everyone. My name is Scott Frangos. I'm with Web Direction. We're an online marketing agency, and I'm very pleased that we have a great roster of Google Plus experts with us today. We're going to have a fun discussion with them. In fact, what I want to do is introduce them first, and then we'll get some tips right out of the box on using Google Plus for B2B marketing. And we have at our site two others that we've done. This is the third in a series of three. And this one, as I said, will be on Google Plus for B2B marketers. You can find the others at webdirection.com. And we'll have some prizes if you're watching live. We have Julie and Danette watching for your questions, and ask the question for the panel, and you may win Michael's book. That I'm about to talk about that in just a moment, or a free class for best question. Our first guest is going to be Ryan Bush. He's an author and entrepreneur, national speaker, trainer, and Amazon best-selling author of the books How to Start an Online Business in 30 Days and Google Plus Marketing Made Easy, which second edition is due out soon. Through his teaching, services, and books, Ryan has helped hundreds of business owners, real estate professionals, and entrepreneurs generate new customers and more revenue online. We're looking forward to him telling us a little bit more about that. We have Debbie Horovich with us. She's a consultant and speaker, and a force behind the Social Sparkle and Shine Agency, which is a social media agency providing clients with the social media services, professional contacts, and media campaigns they need. She is also a Google Plus Hangouts coach, and I've learned some good tips from her in the past, and an award-winning community manager, and at hashtag SparkleSOS hosts a monthly Google Plus Hangouts on-air video panel of experts, so you can learn more from her there. And last but not least, Michael Procopio, author, social media trainer. He's co-author of the 42 Rules for B2B Social Media Marketing. The Kindle version is now available, and we will award one for the best question that we received. He's a conference speaker and trainer with a background as the in-house trainer and coach for Hewlett-Packard, and has 15 and more years experience in pre-IPO and Fortune 500 high-tech organizations as a business leader and technology and marketing manager. And we're going to ask him about this. A recent social media campaign he managed yielded a 2,500% ROI. So with that, let's come back and see if we can get a tip. And I'll just go from left to right. So over on the left is Debbie. You could give us a tip, if you will. Imagine you have more than one, but what's a favorite one for Google Plus, using Google Plus?
Well, seeing as I'm specializing and focusing the majority of my business on Hangouts on Air, I think that Hangouts on Air for me represent the key in Google Plus that allow people to get on the platform and get started really easily, where I don't, myself, as an example, I really don't spend an awful lot of time on Google Plus, and yet I'm still seen as being quite successful with my activities on Google Plus because I use Hangouts on Air as the easy way to create content for Google Plus, for YouTube, for Facebook, for Twitter, and for my blog all at the same time.
So use Google Plus Hangouts would be kind of a what you found works for you.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. I really don't say that I am an expert in Google Plus because I'm not. I really don't. I haven't spent a lot of time on that platform to really figure out how to make Google Plus the absolute best for my business. What I have done is I've really dove into Hangouts on Air myself and created a show, and that in itself helps me create all of the other content that I need for my blog, for my Facebook, for my Twitter. Of course, it goes across Google Plus, throughout on Google. I love Hangouts on Air, so that would be my tip.
Great. Thank you. And Michael, a tip that you'd like to give everybody?
Well, would you like the a Google Plus tip or Did
The
you want to
Google
hear about
Plus
the 2,500% ROI?
I love that one. I do want to hear about it. Your choice. But if you have a Google Plus tip, quick one, that'd be good. Something you like doing on that.
Yeah, you can actually use Google Plus as an email replacement. Most people don't realize that, but because of the way Google Plus works differently than most of the social networks, when you go to put out a message, if you only put one person effectively in the circles list, then that's the only person who's going to see that message. And this is a broader movement. There's a broad movement that's been going on of people trying to get rid of email and replace email in businesses with some kind of social network. But there's really not been any social network that would give you the functionality of email. And Google Plus is the closest to it. It's not quite there yet, because one of the things that I think is still a requirement for email is the ability to search on subject, search on, who sent you email. And you can do a general search in Google Plus, but you can't get as specific as from and subject, etc. So, but that's my tip. I use Google Plus often as an email replacement.
Well, that's a great tip, Mike. I think that Google purposely intends what you just described, and they're kind of fusing things together. And they had that attempt at the Google Wave a few years back, and now they're just kind of slowly rolling toward it. So let's see what Ryan Bush might tell us about all that, or a tip that he wants to give us. Ryan.
Yeah, sure. Well, me being a search engine-based marketer, I'm sort of an SEO geek, if you will. I love Google Plus for the SEO value that it provides for all of our web content that we put out. So my tip would be to make sure that you set up authorship, your author rank, by simply tying your Google Plus profile to any of the websites or blogs that you provide content on. And it's really simple. It's as simple as taking a link from your blog, connecting it to your Google Plus profile, and taking a little code from Google Plus and putting it on your blog. Having a nice, clear profile picture. It's got to be a nice little headshot. And what that does is it tells Google that you provide content for this blog. So any blog posts that show up, it automatically index faster in the search engine rankings. Many cases it will rank higher in the search engine rankings, and in many cases you'll have a little picture, a little icon thumbnail picture of your Google Plus profile connected to your content showing up in the search engine results, which does just wonders for your click-through rate. So if you're searching on something in Google, you see, say one of our topics is how to get paid for my YouTube videos. So you could search that, you'd see a whole 10 blue links coming up in Google. And then you might see, a picture of me on a blog post that I wrote on one of our blogs talking about how to make money from your YouTube videos. And so, obviously, which one are people going to click on? Well, most likely they're going to click on the one with the little icon, a little thumbnail there. So without getting too technical on you, it's really simple. You could just go Google, how to connect authorship through Google Plus, and it'll take you 5 minutes to do it. And the value is absolutely huge. Not only will you get faster search results, you'll get higher amount of people to click on your results, and in turn you'll get more traffic to your web pages that way.
Well, thanks, Ryan. I think it's a great tip. And of course Google loves returning links to things that are on Google Plus. So you don't see that so much in the indexed returns for Twitter and Facebook. So
not at all.
The more you can do like that, the better. So I think I know what. Well, I'm going to rotate back around, but any of you feel free to jump in with your thoughts on this. And we wanted to make sure we asked you what you think the major strength of Google Plus, maybe comparatively, could be what you've already said. But I thought I'd rotate back around to you on that. Debbie, I know you use a lot of other social networks. What do you think the major strength for a marketer is on Google Plus, maybe compared with some of the others?
Well, I think it's difficult to say because I know that the platforms change so frequently. Not only Google Plus, but Facebook and Twitter and how they interact with one another. And every time the platform itself makes a major update, then all of the third-party open API apps that have been created all have to scramble to keep up, and many of them don't. So I think, really, I mean, certainly using Hangouts on air, I think that that is the key distinction because it is so tied in with Google SEO, as Ryan had said, and one of the things that what Michael had pointed out about it being an email replacement, one of the tricks about Google Plus that I've discovered in my limited use of it has been that you can check a box when you're making an update on your Google Plus and have it send an email directly into the Gmail inbox of the people who you're sending. So you can do a social update that goes out as an email list. So there actually is a potential, I wouldn't say necessarily to replace, but to replace some of the activities that you would do through a server like Aweber.
Oh yeah, and I think we're hearing that this tie-in to Gmail is something that's pretty unique to the network. So, Michael,
Absolutely.
any thoughts on? Thank you, Debbie. Any thoughts on what, how would you compare it? And maybe it goes to another question that I had as a kind of preliminary question from one of our listeners and clients. And, is the demographic different on Google Plus and other networks, do you think?
Well, I'll answer your other question first, then I'll get to the demographics.
Okay.
When Google Plus came out and I saw it, my first thought is this is what LinkedIn should have been.
I agree.
So I think LinkedIn blew it to some extent and gave Google Plus a much bigger opening than they would have had otherwise. Now, and I'll give one simple example. There's a networking group that I belong to, and we have a LinkedIn group. And we asked at the last meeting, why is it that some of you have not joined the LinkedIn group? It's been years. And they go, because I bumped into my limit for joining groups.
Yeah.
Not a problem with Google Plus. You can be a member of as many groups as you want. So we're actually thinking about moving our group from LinkedIn to Google Plus for just that reason.
And
right.
Then, so they call those communities, I think, technically.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
And do you like the community functionality compared to other groups you've used?
Yeah, it's pretty good. They let you have separated discussions. So, for example, one group that I'm in, which revolves around a podcast, they've got one category for things for upcoming shows. They've got another one for general discussion. They've got another one for comments on past shows. So that's nice.
Yep.
And those are all separate streams. So it's not like when you go into a LinkedIn group, you've pretty much got a one stream of questions, or things can be put off to promotions. You can create subgroups, but that's a whole nother barrel of wax.
And it's kind of like an arm wrestling thing with the different networks, right? Where everybody thought that Google Plus was trying to take down Facebook, and Facebook was really worried about it. And I heard Ryan just a moment ago agreeing with your comment about LinkedIn. So maybe we can table and factor in the demographic question as we go, but maybe we'll stay on that and follow up on what you thought about Google Plus versus LinkedIn versus other networks. Ron, what do you think its strength is?
Well, what I love about it, and this is kind of piggybacking on what Debbie and Michael both are saying, is the ability to separate your contacts and your connections into different circles, and then send messages that are only pertain and are specified to that particular group of people. So for somebody like me who is involved in so many different industries, So, I'm involved in real estate, we're involved in internet marketing, we're involved in health and wellness. So we can, take our contacts and separate them into different circles, as they call them on Google Plus, and we can, when we post our messages and we make a post about, losing weight, that's only going to go to, we can only, we can specify that only shows and goes out to the people who are in our health and wellness circles. And when I make posts about real estate, I can, specify, I'll make it public as well, but then I also want to send that directly to only my real estate folks. So I'm not, bombarding, the folks who could care less about real estate or care less about health and wellness, not bombarding them with all my different messages. So it makes it really, really easy to where you don't have to set up, like with Facebook, you'd have to set up, a different fan page and a different fan page for each industry that you're in, and it's all these places that you have to manage, all these different things you have to manage. Google Plus, you can really have one main hub and just separate all your contacts into easy circles and market that way. So I really like that.
I wonder, and I think that's exactly what Google's hoping for, and I love all of the. Michael, you're back with a special hat there. We'll have to come back.
Yes.
The wizard is here.
The wizard. And Google's trying to be its own wizard and center of everything, and I love the competition. But and it kind of comes back to the demographic, and I don't know. There tend to be different sorts of folks on the different networks, and there are some infographics out there where they study this from time to time, and it changes updates all the time. But Debbie, maybe you have some thoughts on that, or do you find when you do your hangouts, and I know you've done a number of your own, and you've been on other hangout broadcasts, do you find a certain type of person in the audience, or are you success in a wide range? Is it all technical types and mostly men, or do you have a feel on that?
Well, I'll tell you, I think from my background is as a media buyer for ad agencies in Toronto for 15 years before I went into social media. So I always tend to look at the overall distribution of people within an audience and to their various demographic groups. And of course you can slice and dice an audience into so many different demographics by age, education, marital status, where they live, what language they speak, what's their position in the household, how many kids do they have, even down to psychographics of what people think and feel and how they relate to politics in their local area. So what I find overall is that the culture of Google Plus is more worldly. And so if you are a business owner who you have your community on Facebook, which on your Facebook page for your business, you're likely to have included more of your friends and family members who are seeing those business updates through Facebook than on any other platform. On Twitter, the likelihood is that you will have your colleagues and peers who are in that community with you. And then on Google Plus, it's a place really to explore the entire culture, the global culture of your category within business. And I think that on every single social channel, while there are certain social platforms that certainly cater more to a younger demographic or more to a female demographic or more to an educated demographic, every single social platform has an audience that is exactly your target group. And my approach to social media is that it's your responsibility to get onto that social platform and find the individual people who are exactly your target client on that social platform, regardless of whether or not that social platform is stereotypically for your client. If you're not on the social platform, you are missing some of your clients who are there.
Absolutely.
We had a question from the stream I was just reading. That do we think that a certain type of content works better on Google Plus than other networks? And I'll just go to whoever has the first idea on that. I have kind of a, well, you know, in contrast to Twitter, of course, you can write longer. And I don't know if you've found a certain length of writing, but any other thoughts on what content works? But probably, Debbie, you're going to think the video content for Hangouts, of course.
Well, the first big group to rush onto Google Plus were photographers, and it's a huge, huge photography community. So Google Plus thought from day one, and they've increased that. If you notice, the size of the banner that you can put up was recently increased. So they're certainly into the being visual.
Well, you know, we had. Go ahead, Debbie.
Sorry, I was going to say, well, and Google image search, I think that one of the reasons why Google is putting in so much resources, so much effort into supporting Google Plus and all of the supportive businesses around it is because they want Google Plus users to be supporting all of the other businesses. So Google Image and Google Image Search now is a big thing for Google. So of course they want to use everything visual and maximize that wherever they can. I think it's really important from a visual standpoint. The video is important as well because YouTube is owned by Google and it's the second largest search engine. And when you use Hangouts on Air, you make your YouTube significantly more social.
Yep, yep. I had a question in the Julie's watching. Thank you, Julie. Julie Hume's watching the Twitter stream, and thank you, all of you out there that are live. Question about a recommended quick book for dummies. And I know we've got two authors here, and Debbie told me she's looking at writing a book. She could tell us about it. Michael, did you? And I've read your book, but you had a number. You covered all the networks in your book, the 42 rules.
Well, we covered the major ones. Google Plus was relatively new at the time, but we did put in a chapter on that, and it was titled, "Don't use Google Plus at your own risk." Basically saying, and this goes to Ryan's point, it was very clear that if you wanted good search results, you best be on Google Plus.
Well, Ryan, you're working on an updated edition because you told me you were early to market and there's been a lot of changes. Maybe you can tell the person that asked the question a little bit about what they could expect in your updated edition.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a book out now. It's Google Plus Marketing Made Easy. You can go and get it on Amazon now if you want. We dropped the price to I think 99 cents after it became somewhat obsolete. You can still get a lot of great tips out of it, but the layout is completely changed. The platform is completely changed. So we do have a second edition coming out with all the updated changes. Which we're hoping in the next few weeks. So it's called Google Plus Marketing Made Easy, and we take you from the very beginning on how to set up your profile, how to set up your social circles, how to create the authorship, how to use it to gain maximum search engine results. We kind of dive into a little bit of the psyche of Google and their reasons behind setting up Google Plus. I don't know if you guys have ever read. There's a book out called In the Plex by Stephen Levy, the editor, Wired magazine, and he really dives into what Google wants to become, and they really want to become the internet. They want people to log in to Google just as they're logging into the internet. So that's why they have all their social nailed down with Google Plus. They have your videos are there with YouTube. Your photos are going to be there. Obviously, all of your content, your documents. They really, literally want to be the internet. So we dive into a little bit of that as well, and how you can really kind of capitalize on that. And if you're into search-based marketing at all, and everybody should be at some point if you're into content marketing. It's going to be a really, really good book for you. It's going to take you right from the beginning all the way to the end.
We, I've read somewhere that their plan was that that Google Plus is not just another network venue; it becomes Google, which is what you're saying. I think,
Yep,
Ryan,
exactly.
that Google Plus is Google, and there'll be a time come where we'll say, remember when we thought Google was just a search engine that
No,
returned
not at all.
searches, and it'll be all this other stuff. And I have this kind of love-hate personally with Google. I love how well they do all that stuff, but I don't want to see them be a complete monopoly, maybe like Microsoft was
Yeah.
in the 90s.
It's kind of
Maybe
scary how dependent we can, become on them, because I'm, tied to my Android devices, and in Google, especially for me being a search marketer, it's sort of everything to me, and every now and then I just got to pull back and like, wait a second, I'm getting, sucked into the vortex here a little too. I'm getting a little too far down the rabbit hole with this here.
How do you find the time we were talking about that a little bit, I think, before we went on the air, that how do you find the time to stay up to date on all the different networks and pick which one you're going to be on at a certain time?
It's tough, It's my main focus are Facebook and Google Plus. Those are the two that I picked. People love Twitter. I've never really gotten into Twitter. I saw, I get updates on my phone. I saw you guys, had done some blasting out and mentioned me in Twitter, and I was a little afraid. I was like, oh, I'm not even active on Twitter. I hope people don't go to try to, try to find me on Twitter or anything, because I don't have a clue what's going on over there. LinkedIn, I got active for a while, but like Micah was saying, Google Plus has sort of become what LinkedIn should have been. LinkedIn is a little too cluttered, a little too, just crowded and a little spammy for me. And so I spend most of my focus, most of my efforts on paid marketing with Facebook, and then on just for our content marketing, Google Plus.
So, Michael, your book was really, you said it was back when it was first published. Google Plus wasn't that old, but you ranged across the networks then, and then time rolls forward and you're working along now. How do you divide your time between the networks, and maybe tell us a little bit about some insights from your book?
Sure. So Google Plus has become my primary network. And the reason is Twitter is just a little too constrained for me. I mean, it's the perfect place for quick news. And I still watch it, and I'll send links out on it, but you can have a real discussion on Google Plus that you just can't have on Twitter. And they've added the picture feature, but it's still nowhere near what Google Plus offers, in that everything shows up together, because Google Plus was designed, from scratch.
And that's good that you're on that point.
Well,
We just had another question on Twitter. What do you get? Probably from a Twitter person. This is, what do you get from Google Plus that Twitter doesn't do beyond search engine love? And you're describing that. And there's somebody at HP Storage Guy.
Yes, that's Calvin Zito. I used to work with him.
You know him.
Yeah, awesome guy.
He said, I'm on Google Plus, but I've started using it more lately because of integration with the Android phone. I don't know how to do a Hangout. Any input from Debbie regarding Hangouts using Android? He wants, I think, specifically on the phone, I think he's talking about.
Yeah, I don't have an Android phone myself, so I can't speak from experience, but my guess would be that Google must have issued a Hangout app by this point for Android, because I know that they have for iPhone. So I would suggest that you search for and download the Hangout app on your phone, and then log in from there.
Yeah, in fact, I once called Debbie from my Android phone, and given that she's in Canada and I'm in the U.S., if I wanted to make a regular phone call, it was going to cost me, so I just got on Hangouts and called her.
Genius.
And previously, they actually had the functionality wrapped into something else, but now there is a specific, this came out about a month ago, a specific Hangout app. And
I think I can show you all that there. If you can see the green,
back up a little.
It's just the.
Yep.
Let's see.
A little bit unclear, but
up at the top, there's well, it looks like it's the way the lighting is. Unfortunately, the second one down on the left, there's a thing that looks like a chat with a quotation, and it's green. I don't think you could see it well with the light in here, but that's a Nexus 7 that I have. And you're right, it just showed up recently. Maybe you've used something like that. You said you use Android a lot, Ryan. But have you done any Hangouts off a tablet or a phone?
I've done one Hangout on my phone. It was actually by accident. I answered it on my phone. I was trying to get on my computer, and I ended up answering it first on my Android. And hey, what the heck? And I ended up just staying on it for maybe 20 minutes, and it's kind of cool.
I ended up in a Hangout like that where I tried it. I think even on an iPad, and I came up twice in the Hangout, and people thought they were having a drug flashback or something in a parallel world, I guess. But
yeah, I actually saw the call come through when we were trying to do the preset here. I saw it come through on my phone, but I was unable to grab it, and so I came and jumped on the computer here a few minutes later. But yeah, you get the updates right on your phone. It comes through like a phone call. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had a question. I'm just reading here. Does the iPad Android apps have full functionality? I think they're scaled back a bit. One of our first broadcasts, we had a lady from Florida that was using an iPhone, and she couldn't get this lower third bar that identifies who each of us are using the iPhone app at that time from her iPhone.
That's true of the Android app too. You don't.
Yeah.
There's just not enough screen real estate to give you all that stuff.
Yep. Yep. Well, we had a question. I'll go around to
Scott, can I go back to the last question really quick?
Please.
I had, something I was kind of sitting on there. Maybe 2 questions ago when you were talking about how do you figure out where to spend your time, which social network, and it really goes back to what Debbie originally said: is find out where your market hangs out. And it's going to take some time. One of the first things that we teach people is understanding your market, doing market research, understanding your ideal customer, creating that sort of customer avatar of who your ideal client is and where are they hanging out. So you're going to have to hop on Google+, start joining some groups, get active, join some groups on LinkedIn, get on Facebook, get on Twitter, find out where these people are engaging the most, and that'll sort of dictate and direct where you should be spending most of your time. It'll flesh themselves out, pretty quickly. But yeah, in the beginning, you're going to have to start doing that research to really understand your market, to figure out where you need to be spending your time.
And can I just add one thing to that, which is that really when you get onto a new platform like Google Plus and you spend some time there and you find that you're not finding your ideal clients, what you've discovered is that where you are looking is not where they are, but they are there. And so it's still your job to continue hunting for them until you find them, because they do exist. You cannot give up on the platform until you find them. And then once you find them, test them. And if you find that you can't convert them into clients, then you can decide this platform doesn't work for me.
Absolutely. That's it's the most tedious part, but it's a necessary evil to success in any business. It's where your foundation is being built. You have to get inside the mind of your customer and go to where they're hanging out and be a part of that group.
And there's a couple of ways to do that. I want to see what you think. Where Michael mentioned communities, which is the Google Plus official word for groups, you might find. And what's interesting is you've mentioned real estate professionals, so maybe you have a thought on how and where you find them or engage them. But Ryan, so there's communities. There could be hashtags, and there can be live events and hangouts. Would be 3 of the ways to kind of hunt and track people down, and want to see what you thought about that. And the other thing that's interesting about real estate, and then we can talk about some other maybe some other target groups, but is that they probably should be looking at getting references. What's the actual word? Not references, but reviews. On their local business page. Maybe some thoughts on that.
That's a whole nother animal in itself. Just the slow migration, if you will, of Google Places with Google Plus Local now. which is still sort of a big, jumbled, confusing mess at this time. They're slowly trying to migrate, what was Google Maps and turned into Google Places, which is now Google Plus Local, which is somewhat but not really integrated with your Google Plus business page. That is still, and that was kind of, one of the reasons why our book was taking so long, is because of all these changes that are happening there as well. We didn't want to put it out and then have all that chapter be completely, obsolete. But yeah, it's just finding, another place, you mentioned hashtags, searching, communities and whatnot, finding who the market leaders are in your niche and hanging out on their pages, interacting and engaging with them. That's what's so beautiful about social media, is that you can actually get to these people and engage and connect with these market leaders. So, hanging out where they hang out, find out what groups they're connected to or communities they're connected to. And it's it's all kind of incestuous a little bit, if you will, and you'll find out that your market is kind of hanging out in the same places.
Hey, I think the HP storage guy, your friend Michael, might win the question, because he has another one, and I think Debbie's the best one to answer it. Yeah, and we forget, we're talking about Hangouts. He just wants to know, how do you start a Hangout just from his browser? He'll get to the Android phone later, he says.
Yeah.
How do you just go and start one?
It became much more confusing a number of months ago when they changed around the user experience of all of Google Plus and of Hangouts, and they changed the names of a lot of things. So it's actually, there is only one way to start a Hangout on air that I have found that works the best, that has all of my expectations actually come to reality. So when you're on your browser, on your computer or your notebook, on Google Plus, so you log into Google Plus first, and then up near the top left of the screen is a home tab with a chevron, an arrow icon. So when you hover your mouse over that, it brings up the drop-down menu, and then you go to Hangouts on Air. When you click on that, you go to that page. It gives you the whole Google Plus schedule of Hangouts on Air that are live and upcoming. And there is a button there that I believe is blue, and it says Start a Hangout on Air. And that is the best way to start a Hangout on Air. And then you just follow the instructions from there. It will lead you down the path to being on air.
Yeah, and I guess we should say we make the distinction for people that haven't done it, is you don't have to do a Hangout on Air, but the benefit is it'll be saved and available late and recorded to your own video channel, and you could do a private Hangout that wasn't on air, and we do that sometimes, just because our people that we work with at Web Direction are in different cities and that sort of thing. So there's the private non-Hangout on Air, and then there's what you just described, I think, is the best way to do one that records, and and other people can join you. And we didn't open it up here because we're almost full. There's 9 maximum still, Debbie, in a Hangout.
10 in total.
10 total.
Well,
10 in total on the live, and then unlimited live viewing audience.
Yeah, that's unless, of course, you've got a verified account, which I've been trying to get, in which case you get up to 15.
I didn't know that.
Oh.
You have to be verified.
Very interesting.
Is that part of the reason you wear the wizard hat, Michael, to kind of...
I'm trying.
I'm
trying. Yeah.
Debbie, do you know, is there a limit, like a time limit for how long you can broadcast your Hangout? I mean, can it be like a 10-hour ordeal, or is there...
From what I've heard, a single Hangout at the moment is limited to 4 hours.
Okay.
I have never done a 4-hour Hangout, but I have seen people who have organized and coordinated like 8-hour Hangouts or 12-hour Hangouts or even 24-hour Hangouts.
Yeah.
And they start new Hangouts every couple of hours.
Gotcha.
Well, and Michael was teasing me because I think when I set up the event page, I accidentally indicated that our Hangout would end tomorrow at midnight, which would be like a really long, and then, what would be the format, a festival? But you said something important, Debbie, and maybe your thoughts on that, and how you organize it. I've jumped into Hangouts before, and nobody knows what the subject is, and there's a kid from Australia and somebody from Canada. And what would you recommend for businesses that want to use it?
I think that they're really for businesses that want to use it. I mean, my recommendation really is start the same way that you would start on any other social channel. Get on it. Start a call, start poking around, start pressing buttons and figuring it out. And as you figure out what you can do and what you can't do, start sketching out your ideas for, I wonder what would happen to my business if I started a Hangout where I invited a policy influencer in my business category to have a discussion about something that I think is really important in our trade category. What would happen to my business if on that same Hangout I also invited a blogger who's well known for stirring up crap in our industry? What would happen to my business if in that same Hangout I also invited to join on the panel the leading published book author in our category right now, to give their thoughts? And so it really comes down to the way I look at it. You can look at it like planning a wedding. You can elope and minimize your planning and minimize your investment of time and still be married at the end. You'll still have wedding videos and wedding photos that you can enjoy and share forevermore, and you'll still be married. Or you can have this huge, elaborate wedding that is planning months and months and months in advance, that you're investing a lot of money in, that you're coordinating with people around the world and their schedules and their interests. And what you want to do is really plan the experience for the viewers, like if planning the experience for guests at your wedding. I look at my own Hangouts not really like a wedding. I'm not married yet, so I wouldn't know. But I look at them like planning a dinner party, because I want an intimate conversation. I want people to drop the airs and talk about the things that are really on their mind, and maybe still in sound bites, but not the same things that they say every time. I want the Hangout conversations to be more authentic and more transparent and more valuable in that way.
Well, Debbie, I just got a question from the stream that picks up on what you're saying, and that those are good insights. Do you think that a Hangout is better for a business meeting than GoToMeeting or a free conference call, which is still another application of the concept, I guess?
It's difficult to say. I can see the reason why, if you're a business that is already using GoToWebinar to do your webinars, to create content that is exclusive for your audience, I can see why you would want to continue having that stream of content marketing, of content distribution. And my recommendation would be to start adding in another channel of content distribution. So you're still always talking about the same general thing, no matter what subject, no matter what platform that you're talking about your business on, you're still talking about your business. Yeah. And so I would look at, if you're already using one of these other platforms, I would look at starting to launch a new series or a new way, start testing using Google Plus Hangouts on Air, and see how you can add it to the list of, we do this radio show and I write this article monthly, and so if it's something that you want to add. But I think the number one difference is where people like things like a GoToWebinar is because it really, you get their email address, it's all enclosed, it's really very private. And Google Plus Hangouts on Air, so far there is no way to record a private Hangout other than using a third party. And even I also work with another platform called LiveNinja.com, and they're very similar to Hangouts in a lot of ways. They also, you cannot record a private conversation. Without using a third-party app, and so that's one of the things where I feel like something like GoToWebinar has value there, because you can record every webinar and it's private, and then you can control the distribution of the content afterwards. With Google Plus Hangouts on Air, you kind of have to do a little bit of a Frankenstein sort of fix to keep your content private and to determine where it gets distributed to. But sometimes, you know, live people can jump on a Hangout that was unexpected.
Well, so you pick the best tool for the functionality and the way you want to organize it.
Exactly.
But you know what I'm thinking, and Ryan, you may have some opinions on this with the real estate angle, that it's all evolving, and when you get new technology, sometimes you don't know yet what you might want to do or what you can do. And I was thinking, we've had several questions about Android phones, and I showed you that I have the Nexus 7 tablet. One time, and I haven't done this on a regular, you know, a broadcast hangout, I walked around my house holding the tablet, and Julie did the same. She happens to be across the Atlantic Ocean in the Canary Islands. You can walk around and kind of show people with your camera where you are, and I wonder if there's an angle there for real estate and how that all might evolve.
Oh, absolutely. I hadn't even thought about that yet, but you could do sort of live property tours kind of thing. Come hang out with us while we do this open house.
I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, I think that would be really. You just gave me a fantastic idea. I need to sit on that and create. Debbie, I see you raising your hand. I know you've got a great idea behind this.
Well, actually, I wanted to ask you, Ryan, about if you know anything about the Google Trusted Photographers.
No, what is that?
Now, they might have changed the name, and from what I've heard, they've changed the name of the program a couple of times, but it is where Google has certified photographers in local cities. These photographers can go to your retail location and take photographs of the inside of your retail location, so that people who search and find your store on Google can do an interior photograph walkthrough of your retail store.
Oh, that's great.
And wouldn't that be interesting? An interesting application for real estate, to get those Google trusted photographers putting those marks on the map. Like if you have a condo development that will be going up in 2 years, why not put the spot on the map on Google now with a walkthrough of the model unit on the Google Plus map, saying in 2 years you could be living here in this unit.
We are helping the real estate agent.
Yeah, exactly. This is great.
Well, I actually was at a party called Realtor in the Park in Toronto on the 15th of August, and there was probably 120 real estate agents there. It was it was a real blast. I was in my element.
Oh, great.
Hey, Michael, your friend, the HP storage guy, has asked another question. He is winning, but you know, no, I see one here that maybe you'll know, or any of the panel. How he just wants to know, how do you search the listing of Hangouts? And I think there is a directory, but I was a little puzzled on that because they seem to promote like really top Hangouts. Maybe you have an idea on that when you've been looking for Hangouts. How do you find the ones that you want? Any ideas there, Michael, or Debbie? I saw you nodding when we were.
That has been a really common challenge for myself. I come from the last content production or show type of thing that I used was Twitter chats. And so there used to be this really huge open Google Doc of all of the Twitter chats that was listed, and there were over 700 weekly Twitter chats for every type of business category and keyword and type of professional to meet up. And I was looking for the same thing when I got onto Google Plus, and I couldn't find it. So I would agree with you. Yes, they do tend to promote the top brands and the type of brands that obviously are going to be spending the most money with Google are the ones. But what I have discovered in the last 2 weeks is a really hidden trick about how to get your Hangout listed on the Google Plus official page of upcoming events.
We like hidden tricks. We like it.
I had to search for this one for a while because I was like, how do I get my stuff onto their schedule? So I actually had to Google it, and of course as soon as I Googled it, I found the answer right away. But the answer is, when you set up your Google Plus event RSVP page, you do click the more detailed or more advanced options for what type of event you're having, and you do show that it is a Hangout on-air event. And you add to the invite, when you put it up, you have to put it up at least 5 days in advance of your event, and then invite Google Plus to your event.
Oh, you got to invite the
They will
official
then
people.
look at your event, and if they decide that they want to put it on the schedule, they will include it on the schedule.
Yep.
So for real-time testing, I actually just went to the Hangouts page and I tried searching for 3
Don't
different
prove
Hangouts.
me wrong, please.
No. This is on the search part. If you just type in whatever the name of the Hangout is, it came up.
If you're looking for a specific Hangout, but I think if you're looking for a type of
wanting
Hangout,
to browse
that's,
Hangouts.
exactly, that sort of directory is something that I've actually been talking about starting a whole new I guess media production channel on the form of a website or blog that pulls together articles and highlights some of the best Hangouts for various categories and for various experts, and upcoming Hangouts that are looking for guests who are experts in particular subjects, and upcoming Hangouts that are looking for audience and audience participation, and who are looking for sponsors. And there, it just doesn't exist, and it's shocking to me that that it doesn't exist yet. So it's something that when I have a spare moment,
you know, that is
really
weird. That is weird that it's not there. You know what? This blew fast, really quickly, and I've got about 8 minutes left. I want to give you each a chance to tell us a little bit about whatever you want to say about some of the next projects that you're going to be doing and people can watch for you. And maybe I'll circle back to you, Ryan, let you go first, and then we'll go through. And somehow the hour went by. I don't know how.
It did. It did. It went by really fast. First off, Scott, thanks for having me on. It's been great. It's been great meeting you, Michael, and Debbie as well. Yeah, so you can find, if you're into real estate, you can find lots of great real estate marketing tips and tactics at howtomarkethouses.com. That's our real estate blog. We share all kinds of great content there. If you're into internet marketing at all, on finding out different ways to make money online, you can check our blog out at marketersblackbook.com. Lots of great free content on there as well. Like Scott mentioned, I have a second edition of Google Plus Marketing Made Easy coming out on Amazon. Hopefully here, don't hold me to anything, but we're hoping here in the next few weeks. We also have a live event coming up in Jacksonville, Florida. If anybody's in the Florida area, you guys can you can check out our event page at internetmarketingforbeginners.com/live. If anybody was interested in coming and checking us out live, it's myself, 3 of my business partners. I have a great 3-day event coming up, and yeah, that's those are all my shameless plugs. I appreciate you.
Thanks for joining us today, Ryan. Much appreciated. And Michael, what are you up to nowadays? I know about your book, and I think you have a class in the works, if I'm not wrong.
Yes,
and
but
some other
shall I first answer the 2,500% ROI question?
Oh,
yes.
We have to hear that. Yes, we
cannot get off the call without hearing that.
Yeah. So one of the things that I think people do in error is they try and calculate the ROI of everything that's done in social media. And that may be possible, but I'm pretty positive that the effort to do it is greater than any possible value you would get. However, if you contain yourself to a what's the ROI of this thing I did in social media, that's fairly easy. So the 2,500% ROI came about as follows. We were doing a webinar. We asked the product manager who was doing the webinar 48 hours before the webinar, we hadn't thought of it sooner, to write a blog post, do a LinkedIn post pointed to his blog, and a Twitter posted to his blog. That took him, I'm just going to say, an hour. Probably didn't.
Michael, you're breaking up a little bit.
No, the webinar.
There.
Oh, the webinar page was already up, so I think he was okay with that. So anyhow, an hour of his time, which let's just say that was $150. We ended up getting 100 leads. Our average cost per digital lead was $40. That's $4,000 of cost relief. Divide that by his $150 time, and you end up with 2,500% ROI.
Well, there you've earned the wizard cap for sure on that one.
And I'll give you a better one. Cisco has a case study. They put a video out that was specifically intended to get people to demo this product. And they, again, you've got to put in the regime to be able to actually measure. And they did that. The end result was $80 million in revenue.
Wow.
Don't know what the ROI of that was, but the video couldn't have cost that much.
What's up next for you that we should watch for, Michael?
So, yeah, I'm, as you started to say, I'm working on a course, actually a whole set of courses on social media that'll be on Udemy. The first one I'm going to do is going to be an introduction to social media, which will loosely follow the book. And then I'll probably do ones on specific social media networks after that.
That's great. And just the disclosure, I've got one on Udemy, and I think Debbie's working on one there. We're all kind of collaborating on that and sort of coordinating what we're doing. So that gives us, that's perfect. And Michael, I don't know if that if you had anything else, but it gives us enough time to go to Debbie to wrap up and tell us all the stuff. I know she's doing a lot of stuff. She's doing.
Yeah. I'll give you the highlights. Really, I think what would be most important for me to express to everyone on the panel and to the viewing audience, really, I'm so grateful for everyone's time today and for the opportunity to share with you a few of the insights that I've discovered really just through my own experience with Google Plus Hangouts on Air. I wasn't an expert to start with. Certainly not on Google Plus, but I am now, really what I'm working on is booking more speaking engagements. So if anyone in the viewing audience is representing or organizing a conference or looking for not only keynote speakers, but even private organization workshops on Google Plus Hangouts on Air, if you're not really starting, if you feel like you have your social media covered with your Facebook and Twitter, but now you need to start looking at Google Plus and Hangouts on Air, then give me a call, and I can be found pretty much anywhere online. I'm most active on Facebook. I am there on Twitter, and certainly Debbie Horovich on Google. You'll find me all over the place.
Well, now everybody watching knows where to find these experts, and I just have to thank them all again too. We're very pleased to have you. We were all saying how busy everybody is, and I know there's B2B marketers listening, watching, and it's just great that you took the time out, and we have to do that somehow so we can keep up with everything, right?
Absolutely.
Well, I'm going to push the end button, and I'll just say thank you, and we'll see you all again later.
Thanks a lot.
Everybody.
Bye-bye.